little technical glitch there on startup, John, but I think we should be, there we go. Amazing. Software updates. How are you tonight, John?
Doing great. Yeah, it's a tricky thing. In fact, it was one of the big things that we used to work on when I was at HP, is these big corporations that need to do these updates don't know how to simulate what would happen if it went wrong.
Well, how about just testing it at all? Like they just issue an update and don't tell you anything has changed?
It's a really tough thing to do.
Make it work worse?
Yeah, it's a big problem, and nobody, that's it. And, the interesting thing is it's this weird pressure to constantly update software. And my favorite software is the old Apple software. I like the old iTunes.
Well, just any software that works is my favorite software. I don't need this new version that doesn't work. That's stupid.
Exactly.
But anyway, we've got a great show tonight, guaranteed 100% less vomit than the last show. You've got a lot of exciting stuff scheduled here for us. Now, I just want to make sure people know they can be watching us here live on the John E. Hoover YouTube channel. You're up to 63, almost 64,000 subscribers. It's amazing. We talk about the suppression of these channels, and even at 64,000, John, when you compare this to, let's say a Crowdsource the Truth 11 or 12, there's not that much difference in terms of this channel has 6,000 subscribers, and we get about a similar number of views. So I just don't think that YouTube is, kind of disseminating these videos in the way there's a finger on the scale somewhere.
I wonder if it's a legacy thing or if it's still being done so for example, they've changed some rules. One of the things that you used to not be allowed to talk about was election integrity type stuff. So after the 2020 election, if you had a video that was challenging the results of the election, that wasn't allowed. You weren't allowed to do that. And I think they changed those rules. So now those videos are allowed. If you feel that you have evidence.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, John, but for some reason we're not live on X. So this has got to do with this update to the streaming software. I'm going to have to really troubleshoot this later. I'm sorry to everybody who's trying to watch us either on @JG_CSTT or @I_am_John Cullen. But we're live here on YouTube and elsewhere. And of course, people can always get us, John, on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, and crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com. I don't know what's going on with Restream. Anyway, tell us what you've got for tonight.
Well, let's go to our deck. The election, I believe, is over. I think most of the counting has been completed. And the fascinating thing to me is, although, some people are referring to this as a landslide, I mean, for the most part, half the country voted for one candidate and half the country voted for the other candidate, as far as number of people. And if it wasn't for the Electoral College and whatever, it would really be a democracy. And so it looks like, when they show you that map at the end of the day and they're like, well, here's what states voted for Trump and here's what states voted for Kamala Harris or Kamala. And some of the states are red and some of the states are blue. And it looks like, California is pretty blue and New York is pretty blue. And kind of like the Northeast is pretty blue and the West Coast is pretty blue. And everything in the middle where the corn and the wheat grows is pretty red for the most part. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it looks like most of the blue stuff is on the coast. Most of the red stuff is in the middle. And it's kind of like half the country is looking at one half of the country and going, you voted for that person? And everybody is kind of dumbfounded. And I guess the good news and the way that you can cope at night and go to sleep is knowing that jellyfish have survived for 650 million years with no brain. All right, so that means it's okay. Everything's going to work out, right? The fact that you don't agree with everybody is all right. In fact, I think that was kind of the founding premise of the country.
Yeah.
Was we are the people who don't necessarily agree with one another, and we're cool with that as long as the Amish stay over there. Just kidding. I love the
The
Amish.
Amish were important in this election. And, I think the
Yes.
reason they're saying it's a landslide was because he won the popular vote, the Electoral College, the Senate, and the House.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody expected so many of these. What do they call them? The borderline states. What do they call them?
Swing states.
Swing states. So I don't think people expected them to win so many of these. But we're going to take a look at the 2028 possibilities, because I was looking like a Drudge Report and looking at Breitbart today. There's already stories about Vegas is taking bets on who's going to be president in 2028 already.
What are
Like
the
there's
odds
already
of
a
him
line.
coming?
And guess who's in the line? Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback of the Jets.
What?
There's a
He's a moron.
Bobby was going to ask him to be his VP.
What?
Excuse me. Bobby Kennedy did ask Aaron Rodgers to be his VP, and you know what Aaron Rodgers said to Bobby? You know what he said?
No, what?
He said, Bobby, I'm an effing football player.
Right.
And he said, I want to hear what you have to say, so I'm going to, I'll certainly get together and hear you out. But, dude, I'm a quarterback. Like, what do you?
Yeah, he's not. That's not.
Yeah,
good.
so there's a line on him. So we're going to get into this tonight to talk about what is the 2028 ticket going to look like. And in your thumbnail, you've got J.D. Vance, who is now the vice president-elect, and potentially...
AI aged.
I love it. I noticed it too. I was like, nicely done, nicely done.
Thank you.
So, but it brings up an interesting point. And I think it's an important point. And it's a slide that I didn't put in the deck. So I'm going to need you to do some of our real-time research. One of the things we've talked about in the past when I'm making fun of Facebook and I'm making fun of all the companies is that the human brain doesn't achieve adulthood until 30 years old. And if you just simply do a search, anybody in the audience, you guys who follow along and watch the show, sometimes it's fun to have another browser window open with your search engine. You can kind of type stuff in real time and do the research. But it turns out that the human brain doesn't reach its adult form until about 30 years old. And there's stories about this. So there's a story in the New York Times, there's a story in Scientific American, there's a story in Nature, there's a story here, all kinds of stories about this. So this is pretty well understood that the human brain doesn't really reach adulthood until about 30. And the reason I was making fun of this is because the median age at companies like Facebook was like 27, meaning more than half the people in the company are not adults yet.
I wonder when this study was done, and I wonder if younger subjects, I bet you this is a problem that's getting worse due to nutrition and just the coddling and also the feeding of these brains stupid information can't help.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the coddling, which you and I have talked about many times, which is, the giving of the ribbons because you came in 8th place out of 9. But what an effort, right? What an effort. All right. So there's that. But it's also this erosion of the quality of education in the United States. Once upon a time, we had the top education system. We were the envy of the world. And going to city college, many of the people watching, if your grandparents went to, city college in New York for an engineering degree, dude, you were going to work at Grumman. Like, you're going to go work on spaceships and stuff with a degree from City College. Today, I don't think kids know trigonometry. I don't know that they know calculus. I don't think they understand.
Try division.
Iambic pentameter. I don't know what they're teaching in schools these days. And so these are some of the issues that we're going to be exploring in tonight's show, which is how we've gotten away from the Constitution and what the Constitution allows for with the federal government versus what it wanted or set up the state governments to do. And the federalization and the growing federalization was what the founders were afraid of, apparently, from reading their stuff. So when you look at this potential ticket for 2028, are these people going to be prepared? Now, J.D. Vance, in the photo here, you've aged him, but he just turned 40. He just had his 40th birthday. And what that means is I'm nervous. Donald Trump is 78 years old. And as good a shape he's in, God forbid, something natural could happen to him on the golf course. He plays a lot of golf. He's a big guy, 78 years old. And J.D. Vance, a 40-year-old guy, as sharp as he is from Yale, he's going to be the president of the country at 40. He's been an adult for 10 years. Now, you've been an adult for over 20 years now. You've had your adult brain. And one of the things that I experienced when I hit 50 was like this sense of, I think I'm starting to understand what wisdom is, and I don't have any of it yet. It's like
That's
you
not
start.
true.
Like,
Yes, you do.
for me, it was like it's like you reach this point, and then you look down into this valley, and the valley is this valley of wisdom, and it takes so many years to get there. And the older you get, the more of it you get. The less people are interested in what you have to say, right? So you got the old codgers out there with the walkers and the hairs growing out of their nose and their ears. Nobody wants to hear a word. Like, bah, bah, bah. But they're the ones that know everything. They're the ones that have seen 85 years of stuff going on, multiple wars, presidents come and go, Democrats, Republicans. Remember when the Democrats acted like Republicans and the Republicans acted like Democrats? And nobody wants to hear from these people. So the interesting thing is we got the 40-year-olds, J.D. Vance, and we got the 82-year-old, Joe Biden, right? They didn't cut it, right? Is there anybody in between there that kind of has their act together? Well, let's look
Maybe
at
like 50, 60.
Well, let's go to slide number
Which
two
is
in the
real
deck.
quick before we do that. I don't know if you realize this, but Trump's father, Fred, he lived to be 93. I didn't know this. He died of pneumonia.
And his grandfather died in 1918 of Spanish flu. His
Whoa.
grandfather died of Spanish flu in 1918. Yeah. So this is close to him. Yeah, that's why he's pissed off at Fauci. So we've got, a great looking ticket on the Democratic side, and you're talking about a guy who I'm not sure this guy can figure out, a dozen minus 7. I'm not sure he's there yet. And this scares the hell out of me because he's good looking and he's 6'3", 6'4", and he fits the mold. And it scares the hell out of me because I think he's dumb as a box of rocks. Yeah. And this is the best they're going to do. So we're going to explore, well, if not him, then whom? I'm assuming next time around the Democrats are going to do a primary. I'm assuming, right? Who are they picking from? Kamala will want to run again.
No way.
No?
You're never going to see her again. Well, they're talking about trying to jam her into the Supreme Court, but there's no way that's going to get through the Senate. She's an absolute loser. No one's going to spend any money on her. She's like the female Walter Mondale now. Never going to see her again.
Yeah, I don't think anybody looks at her as, wow, but what a jurist she would be. I don't see that. So, yeah, not at all. All right, well, we're going to look at some of the options. We've got Gavin clearly, right now probably the statistical leader. But why don't we take a look at some other stuff that we have in the deck before we go to the patron-only portion. I know that there's a lot of people out there who voted the other way and are very upset. It seems Jimmy Kimmel is still crying. Stephen Colbert doesn't know what to do. There's a lot of very upset people. And so I went into Grok and I used the AI engine and I asked the AI engine if I'm a Democrat and I'm really sad about the election results and I want to renounce my citizenship and move to another country, what are the steps involved? Because I don't know if Cher knows, like, okay, hon, this is what you're going to have to do. And you know how much I like to help people achieve their goals and their ambitions, right? So
especially Cher.
Yeah, well, do you know that I know Rob? No. I know Rob.
Who's Rob?
Her boyfriend, the good-looking boyfriend she got the Ferrari for. The bagel
does he
guy.
build motorcycles or something? Guns?
No. Her boyfriend 40 years ago, was a guy that I knew, and he worked at this bagel shop on Long Island. and he was a good-looking kid. And she met him at Danceteria in the city, and she picked him up. And
Wow.
yeah, the rest is history. So that's Cher's boyfriend. But now that Cher wants to leave the country, a lot of people want to leave the country. I think Jimmy Kimmel, when he finishes crying, is going to leave the country. And I don't think people know what the steps are. And I don't think people know that it costs $2,350 to leave. If you want to renounce your citizenship, you have to pay $2,350 and you have to pay a tax or surrender a portion of your assets.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure Charles did not do any of this. He's just like almost like
He didn't renounce
vacationing.
his citizenship. He didn't renounce his citizenship. No. But he didn't say he was going to. I'm talking about for the people who said, like Bette Midler, and there's a whole bunch of people who said they're going to renounce their citizenship. They're leaving. They're moving to wherever. Well, I'm trying to help them with the steps. I don't think they know the steps. And you're going to have to come up with $2,350 cash. And I think there's something about your assets that you're going to have to turn over. So it's not so easy to just say, hi, I want to go to Canada. I'm going to live in Montreal and I'm renouncing my citizenship. Oh, no. No, you got to pay.
Doesn't Canada have a say as well?
What that means is you have to buy your freedom. What does that sound like?
Slavery.
Sounds like it to me. You got to buy your. If you want to leave, you can't leave. You got to pay $2,350. Do you get anything for the 23? Do you get a suitcase? Do they give you a blanket? Do they give you a pair of slippers? Is it like a little
spray on your face?
Is it like you get a Ramoa and they're like,
Socks.
hey, listen, it was great having you here. Really loved having you as a citizen, but since you're leaving, we've got this great little parting gift kit, and they charge you $2,300. What's the $2,350 for? To take you off the voter roll? We know they don't want to do that, right? We know they don't want that. So I don't know. I just thought it'd be helpful. All right, so this is exciting. This is a story that broke yesterday, and everybody's talking about this now. Now, this came out yesterday. I thought it was kind of funny and crazy at the same time because it happened a couple of years ago in Pennsylvania. A truck crashed or something, and a bunch of these monkeys escaped. And I did a bunch of tweets at the time. Anybody seen my monkey? Anybody seen my monkey? And everybody just kind of laughed it off. Well, this time I don't think people were laughing. And today it turns out there's 43 of them. And I've got something fun for our YouTube audience. And this is a proprietary video of mine that I made, not Mindy. Okay, so I made this. Mindy didn't make this. And in the video folder, we have 2 videos called Monkeys on the Loose. And we're going to take a look at the one that's 86.4 megabytes, Monkeys on the Loose. And this is my video. So what I did was when I heard the story, what am I all about? I'm all about the science of where. And I want to know, where are the monkeys on the loose? Are the monkeys on the loose on 21st and 6th Avenue? Are the monkeys on the loose in New Jersey? Where are the monkeys?
Send them to New Jersey.
All right, so they're in South Carolina. And so my next question is, where in South Carolina do we have a bunch of monkeys? Okay, did you know where we have a bunch of monkeys in South Carolina? I didn't know where we had a bunch of monkeys in South Carolina. Well, I went into the system, went into Grok, and I said to Grok, what's the largest monkey research facility in South Carolina? It says, oh, Alpha Genesis. And lo and behold, let's play this from the beginning. I think you guys are going to enjoy this. This is the going into Google Earth, locating Alpha Genesis Primate Research Center, and showing you the neighborhood. What is in the vicinity? In other words, like how close is the nearest IHOP? Where's the closest Jack in the Box compared to the monkey facility? So here we are in South Carolina, and we're going to zoom in now on Alpha Genesis, a private research facility that does receive funding from the NIH and the NIAID, which is Dr. Fauci. So basically, this is where Dr. Fauci's monkeys are.
2D. They're not giving you 3D of this. So what is
Correct.
this Alpha Genesis primate? What are they doing there with the monkeys?
They breed monkeys. They do research on monkeys. They do monkey as a service, software as a
Are
service.
you
You guys have
kidding?
heard of software? So let's say you are Pfizer or you're Merck and you've got a project and you need testing done on primates.
Oh,
Outsource your primate testing to Alpha Genesis, and we're going to watch a video with our patrons, which is the Alpha Genesis sales pitch. And you
wow.
guys get to see them pitch their monkeys. And look at this facility. Look at the size of this place, and then look at where it's located. And the monkeys are on the loose as we speak. There are 43 monkeys that escaped this facility that they test stuff on, and it's Dr. Fauci's money. All right. So this is why I think this is an important story. I think the where aspect, I mean, if you go back in the video, there's an elementary school right there. All right. So, yeah. So this is the facility, but yeah, look right there. I just had my cursor hit play. So the cursor is going to go to the elementary school. You're going to see the research center has a pin. But the elementary, look like right there to the northwest there's a whole bunch of stuff. There we go, right? And here's the elementary
look at that.
school. All right, so you got a whole little community here. Where do you
Does
think
it say federal? No, Fennel. What did
Fennel.
it say?
Fennel Elementary School. So where do you think the monkeys are headed? I think the monkeys are headed where they smell food. I think they smell Taco Bell, they smell Jack in the Box, and they're on their way. And right now, we're going to go to another video, Monkeys on the Loose, and we're going to look at footage of the monkeys in the woods, and they are in a lockdown right now in the town of Yamasee, South Carolina. They are like quarantined, stay in your home. The monkeys are on the loose. So let's run this clip. Monkeys on the Loose. This is from The Sun, I think. Yeah, The Sun. I think there is, yes.
And are these dangerous monkeys? I guess the video will tell us. Here's what we're going to see. Huh. They're just in the woods. They're kind of not bothering anybody. Are they diseased, these monkeys?
Yeah, so they went left. They're behind that ridge now.
I think we have to take that as a yes.
It's crazy. They're just letting out monkeys. 28 days later. Come on now. They're trying to scare people. Wasn't that a movie about zombies 28 days later? Oh, it says 28 days later style. Prison break. Is this crazy? The monkeys aren't doing a prison break.
No, somebody left the door open, and the monkeys aren't stupid. The monkeys are like, dude, the door's open. Let's go to Taco Bell. They are on their way to Jack in the Box, guaranteed. They're on their way. They smell food.
Seems like a not adequate security if some idiot can just leave the door open and the monkeys go.
The thing that blows my mind is, where are the monkey hunters in South Carolina? The police department's not prepared to go capture 43 monkeys. So who do you call? The zoo? The South Carolina Zoo doesn't capture monkeys. They order monkeys. Like they call up Senegal and they say, hey, you guys got monkeys? Can you ship us some monkeys? And they show up in FedEx.
You must know people at the zoo who can do that.
Oh, they know a guy? Where do you know a guy who
expert.
Right. Where is the guy capable of capturing 43 monkeys?
I don't know, but he's making all his money this week.
But I love how they tell you, stay in your house. The police are chasing the monkeys. I'm like,
no, they're
with
not.
what? With what? What are they chasing the monkeys with? Butterfly nets? And they're going to catch it with a butterfly net?
I think it would be very... You can't even catch a chicken. Have you ever tried to catch a chicken?
It's funny. It's a funny thing to do. Yeah, they have the cockfighting rings in Thailand, and yeah, you cannot. It's not so easy to catch a chicken. But this is not going to end well. This is not a good story. It's not going to end well. We're joking about it a little bit because it's absurd. This is not good, man.
How many were released the last time? Because it seems like they gave us that story and then nothing happened, or we didn't hear about it.
That was a crash. That was, I think, a truck crash.
Truck.
Yeah, truck crash in Pennsylvania. But I then saw a story that said this place in Yamasee in South Carolina, this Alpha Genesis, has an escape about once every 2 years. They said there's been 4 escapes in the last 8 years.
Ridiculous. Don't they need better security there or something? If that's, I mean, it seems like a bit of a chronic problem. So they're warning the residents. This is the same thing we heard yesterday. They're just warning everybody to stay inside.
There you go. Stay inside. Don't touch the monkeys. If you see a monkey, call 911 and tell the police. And by the time the police get there, the monkey will be about 7 miles away and 50 feet up a tree.
They
How are
mostly
you
just
going to catch these? How are you going to catch
jerking
these?
off and throwing feces and breaking things.
That's coming. It's coming. That's next week. All right, so let's keep going back in our deck. Let's go to the next slide.
That's all they do.
So I then went to Grok, and I said to Grok, did the NIH fund any projects with Alpha Genesis in South Carolina? And look what we found. In 2017, what does it say there? What did they do? In 2007?
Alpha Genesis received a 7-year federal contract from the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, part of the NIH, with a potential maximum value of $48 million. The contract was for breeding and maintaining monkey colonies for critical government research. $48 million? How much does it cost to breed a monkey?
I guess 48 million.
Seems high.
That's just to get the monkeys ready for the research. That's just to
It's too much.
prepare some monkeys.
No.
Why is
Breed
the
some monkeys
government
for free in the jungle?
if there's monkeys that are needed, okay, I want Pfizer to pay for the monkeys.
Yeah, right. Why is the
Right.
government paying for these monkeys?
Right.
That's a good question.
Because the government is a synonym for you and me. Why?
Yeah.
All right. Why am I paying to breed monkeys in South Carolina? I would just say to Pfizer, dude, if you need to do research on monkeys, you pay for the monkeys.
Yeah.
But the problem
48
is, so this is where we get into the stuff that Bob Malone was sharing with us, which is that DARPA and US AMRID, if you want, pull US AMRID up for everybody, show everybody what US AMRID is. So US AMRID is where Dr. Judy used to work. And US AMRID is basically, the biowarfare portion of the government, right? It's
I mean,
sort
they're
of like
telling you that, aren't they?
U.S. Army's Medical Research Institute, right, of diseases and biodefense solutions. So, of course, it's all defense, right? It's all defense.
Yeah.
There's not right. So, this is what these guys do. They work with these pathogens. I mean, there's no other way to put it. This is what they
What
do.
are these? What are these logos here? United States. What agency?
Zoom in a little more.
I can't. That's
it?
the
That's
max.
max? Really?
This is defense. Oh, this is the DTRA, Defense
That's
Threat
right.
Reduction Agency.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what that
DARPA.
said.
Could be DARPA.
Joint Science and Technology Office on the bottom. And then I can't read the top one, too blurry. It's interesting that they choose to make that so low res.
All right. Well, these are the guys that do the pathogen work, right? So these are, this is Taubenberger, Terrence Tumpy. This is the old Fort Detrick stuff. And they're working with deadly pathogens. This H7N9 HP version, the highly pathogenic version, had a 40% case fatality rate in China. 40% of the people who get it die? That's unheard of. I mean, these are bioweapon caliber pathogens, meaning it may not have been designed to be a bioweapon, but at the end of the day, if 40% of the people get it die, you look at that and go, wow, we didn't intend for that to be one, but hypothetically speaking, it sure would be an interesting weapon if it were, 40% of the people get it die.
Now, John, we had a software glitch that gave us a bit of a late start, but we're at 30 minutes. We're pretty close to making our way over to the sponsor-exclusive segment. People are going to be able to join us for that on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Let's sort of wrap up this segment and get ready for that. Where else do you want to take everybody here?
I think what we should do is let's go out. Let's play a video out. Well, now save that for the patrons. But there's a video in the video folder that I think it is important for everybody to see, for all the subscribers that we have here on YouTube. The other day I got a chance to sit down with Bill and work on the model a bit, and we're working on the positioning of Copenhagen, David Dutch, and the Lucky Guy, and we're communicating back and forth. And I thought it would be interesting for people to be able to kind of look over our shoulder and watch us work and see what goes into this 3D model. So we're going to play a video called "We Don't Play Games," and I think you guys are going to enjoy this. We're going to play this out. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody. This will be the bumper, so to speak. And we'll see you guys over at the Patreon-only show over at Patreon and Subscribestar. I think you're going to enjoy this. This is Bill and I working together in Blender on the Butler crime scene.
Is this going to upset Jeff's dog?
Yes. So Jeff, put the dog in the other room. This has got a beat to it. So thank you guys. We'll see you at Patreon in just 5 minutes.